and welcome to another episode of Quarantine Question Time.
How you do?
Are you ready for some questions?
Yes.
Question number 1 comes from Megan_Adams10. Please tell us about the paranormal stuff that's been happening in your house.
I feel like we might have oversold this a little bit. I'm only saying that because I'm coming from a place now where everything's not really as creepy as it was previously.
Yeah. But there has been some weird stuff.
So we have had some little orange lights.
We haven't seen those in a while, though.
No, but...
There was orange, red and green.
Yeah. I only saw the orange ones, so I think I was lying about the others.
I saw the red and the green ones. See, this sounds really stupid, and Dan was talking to me about these lights for ages, and I was like, okay, you're obviously having a breakdown, and I'm just going to humour you. And I didn't see them at all. And then I saw them maybe 3 or 4 separate times in different rooms, and they're like little...
Go and say it, you know you want to.
No, I'm not saying the O word. It's like little... They're almost like little laser beams.
Yeah, they are.
Like, I don't know how else to describe. By the way, we were seeing those for ages, and then they calmed down for a while. But recently... Go for it.
So, one time I was laying on the bed upstairs dozing. I wasn't actually asleep, I was just laying there, like resting. And then I heard someone climb up the stairs, and I felt someone come into the room, so I just presumed Emma was there.
Ooh.
And then I rolled over and there was nobody there, and Emma was downstairs. I was also in the bath and had someone knock on the door twice, very loudly, and Emma again was downstairs.
Yeah, for once I'm genuinely not taking the piss. Like, if I'd done this...
The thing is, if Emma had done it, she wouldn't have been able to hold off at laughing at me for too long.
No, I wouldn't.
Because that's why you do it, isn't it? You wind me up to be able to laugh at me.
Yeah, and we have been having a lot of noises in the house recently. We've lived here for what, 2, 3... We've lived here for a long time.
Yeah.
And you get used to certain noises. Like, it can regularly sound like somebody's running up the stairs in our house because all of the houses in our row
all have staircases in the same position, and we're just in a line of terraced houses. So we know when it's next door, if that makes sense, because it happens so frequently.
Yeah, so there's a difference between, like, hearing something on the stairs in the house and next door. And you can't tell the difference. So we've had a lot of, like, bangs from the kitchen recently that we can't quite figure out what they are. Like, so we've had one recently as well where there was a massive bang upstairs, and we were both like, what the fuck was that? So I went upstairs and checked. I don't know, being the big I am.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to send you up for every supernatural occurrence that happens.
And it was essentially the wind had blown loads of bottles off a shelf in the bathroom. So, you know, figured that one out. But it's the knocking on the bathroom door that I just don't understand.
No, because it's very clear 2 knocks, dunk dunk. I was convinced it was you. Convinced.
The kids next door sometimes bang on the walls.
Yeah, but this was on the door. There's a difference.
Yeah, I guess.
And also, we've had a couple of times where Leanie has teleported. I mean, Bim has teleported.
Yeah.
Where she's somehow got somewhere really quickly, and she's not the most agile of cats, and it's just been a bit like, you step through a portal or something.
Yeah, you can imagine just slipping through a portal and being like, what
accident.
the fuck?
But yeah, I think on the whole, I think we probably oversold it a little bit, but it's just little odd things that disturb me.
We sound like the beginning of any fucking haunting. In the beginning, it was just little odd things that we didn't realise until we looked back.
There was a cloven-footed man walking up and down the stairs every night with his cane.
Is that how you're going to talk when we're going to be interviewed?
Yeah.
Because I really don't want to do that.
Oh.
Question number 2. What is your favourite Dan saying? And that is from El Fuzzo. My favourite Dan saying is not really a saying. More so, it's a word that he's probably never said on the podcast, but I'm fascinated by the way Dan says the word onion. And every time he says it, it makes me roll around laughing. So that's my favourite Dan word. Do you want to say it, or...?
Nope.
Okay.
It's going to make you sound foolish.
Nope.
I say onion, as in like UNGYEN.
So does your mum.
That's how you pronounce it.
It's not how you pronounce onion.
Yeah, but how do you pronounce the letter R? Not like that thing you used to row a boat.
Or.
Or.
An oar is what you row a boat with.
Yeah.
and the letter is or.
That's the same
That's
word.
not the same word.
Every listener will respond with this saying, you just said the same word twice.
Unless they're Irish listeners, in which case they'll be like, yeah, there's a massive difference between the two things that you just said.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Question number 3. In what order should I show my son Star Wars? I say numerical, but my wife says release date.
I say machete cut.
What does that mean?
So show the episode 4, episode 2, episode 3, episode 5, episode 6.
Why?
Because it's like a good order to watch them in.
Beam is just running around, and I don't really know. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that.
It's time for dinner.
Hi. Do you know we're trying to record a podcast? Oh, she's hungry. Hang on, we'll have to pause the recording and feed her. Okay, we're back. We just had to do some serious feeding of the baby.
So just for a little bit of context, she woke me up a little bit earlier than she normally does in the mornings this morning. So she ate earlier. So when she realised that she was hungry, there was no stopping her.
Yeah, she was just like, I don't care about your fucking podcast, okay? I want my dinner. And also, there's no way of feeding her quietly because we have to blend her dinner.
Bless her.
Because her teeth don't work very well. And if you don't blend it, she can't eat it properly. So it's all very dramatic in this house.
Very dramatic.
We were talking about Star Wars. Yeah. I say numerical.
I say episode 4.
I don't know why you're leaving out episode 1.
I was hoping you hadn't noticed.
I had noticed. I don't know why you're leaving out episode 1.
Okay, so basically, the way that the machete cut is the idea that episode 1 is rubbish and you don't need to see it.
Not true.
Hang on.
But okay, go on.
But if you were to include it, then it would go 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So the idea is that actually the important story arc is 4, 5, 6. That's the main story.
I agree.
Watching episode 4 first introduces you to the main characters.
Yep.
2 and 3 serve as your flashback to give context. And then 5 and 6 is the end of the saga. So that should be the way you watch it, in my opinion.
The reason why episode 4 was the first one ever released was because George Lucas thought it was the only one that would ever stand alone. And if it flopped, he'd never have to make one again.
Which actually, if you watch it and that's the only one you watch, it does stand alone quite well. I think.
It does. I think it was the right thing to do. However, I think the hatred towards episode 1 is unjustified. And I will say that, and I will continue to say that. I appreciate that people always say episode 1 is just not a good film and Jar Jar Binks and blah, 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 blah. Episode 1 came out when I was a child and I loved it so much.
I'm going to say something controversial. I'll let you have it. Because I feel the same way about WrestleMania 9. Nobody loves WrestleMania 9. Me and my brother love it because it was the first WrestleMania that we owned on video. So we watched it loads. So we think it's great as well. And that's all you're doing. You've just got a childhood attachment to episode 1.
I do.
So
I have a child. I'm not
that.
saying it's a piece of cinematic mastery.
So I'm talking about a fresh set of eyes doesn't need to see it. That's all I'm saying.
That's not true. A fresh set of eyes. Like, that child...
Just like I'd tell a fresh set of eyes not to watch WrestleMania 9.
And your son could grow up to have a crush on Darth Maul like me. So, therefore, if he never sees episode 1, he's never going to have that opportunity.
To be fair, I think if you watch episode 1, it sort of helps you get into Clone Wars, which apparently is an amazing series. So if he's going to go into watching Clone Wars on like Disney Plus or something like that, then watch episode 1.
So essentially we both say numerical then?
No, I'm still saying start with 4.
Oh.
It's just whether you include episode 1 or not.
You do. Question 4. If you were a combo of 2 cryptids, what would you be? And that came from @_dupes.
You're going to have to give me some cryptids because I've just been staring at all your little pictures of Bigfoot and now I can't think of any other cryptids.
There should be loads of cryptids on... I've got loads of pictures of cryptids. I'm stuck on my laptop for context.
I think I would be the body of Mothman and the head of Nessie. So I think that'd be the most terrifying thing ever.
Oh God, so I'm trying to picture it. That's why I'm being really quiet.
Essentially, I'd be a pterodactyl.
Yeah.
With a long neck.
Essentially. I want to be the Loveland frog.
Okay, what's that?
Because I get a magic wand.
Oh, okay.
We've done this story before on Patreon. Oh. So the Loveland frogmen were...
Oh, the frogmen.
Were like frog creatures with like magic wands.
You just said frog. I was thinking Budweiser frog. That's all I had in my head.
So I want to be a Loveland frog. So I want the body... Oh, shit. Now I need to think about this.
Head of a frog, body of Bigfoot.
No, I kind of want the body of a frog. but it's not the body of a frog. It's like a reptile creature, isn't it? I want the body of a frog and the head of Mothman.
How about the body of Nessie and the head of Zach Bagans?
We're never going to get Zach Bagans on our podcast at this rate, okay?
Okay.
Which we all know is my dream and your dream.
Okay.
Question
For
5.
very different reasons, I'd imagine.
Yes. Question 5 from the same person at
Okay.
_dupes. Would it be worse to only see or only hear a ghost?
See.
I agree, because I think if you hear, you can your ears can be deceiving. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, even if it was like having full-blown whispered sentences in my ear, I'd just be like, oh, explaining head syndrome. Whoops.
Yeah. Oh, if I go to sleep now, I'm not even going to worry about it. Question 6. What would be your signature bake on Bake Off? And that comes from the Demon Gin.
Oh, good question, Demon Gin. Mine would probably be brownies.
What kind of brownies?
Plain chocolate brownies, because I did a test with my mum once, because I told her that I make wicked brownies, and she said that she reckoned hers was better, so we did a blind taste test, and I won. So I've essentially already won Bake Off, because in my mind, my mum is the best at baking anyway. So if I've beaten her in a baking competition, I've therefore won baking in general, not just the Bake Off.
Fair.
Baking in general.
Fair. I would make
It's also the only thing I can really make.
I would make something outrageous. So if you don't know, I am obsessed with the Bake Off. I fucking love it. I love the drama of it. I'm so into the wholesome nature of Bake Off. And I get really, like, I don't bake. I can make one thing, which is a chocolate Guinness cake, which I think I make pretty well. But it's the only thing I can make. And I get so into it. So I watch it and I'm like, you fucking call that a souffle? I could do that in my sleep. And I'm like, oh, they haven't laminated that pastry enough. Like I know what that means, you know. So I would make something outrageous, because I think I'd shoot way beyond my ability. My ability is a chocolate Guinness cake, but I'd be like, I'm going to make a gingerbread cathedral as my signature bake.
To be fair, building with gingerbread is so fun, and
Yes.
gingerbread is lush.
So you'd be
So,
fine
yeah.
about it. And I'd make those little stained glass windows. Like I'd melt sweets to make stained
Everybody
glass
thinks
windows
they
and
can
shit.
do that because of Bake Off, but I think it's a lot harder than it looks.
No, I think it is hard. That's why I'm saying I would do it, because I'd overshoot, and then I'd be on Bake Off and I would become notorious. I'd be like the Black Forest Gatto situation. No, it was Baked Alaska, where the guy threw the whole Baked Alaska in the bin. That would be me. And it would be like, oh my God, she's like so aggressive
But you
on
wouldn't last
Bake Off.
the first week then, would you?
No, I wouldn't, but it's not the point. I'd have eternal glory.
Eternal glory. Eternal glory. I would
And-
cut all my brownies up and sculpt them into a picture of Bigfoot.
Ah, with heart eyes.
Yeah.
With little strobes for his eyes. And question number 7 also comes from the Demon Gin. What is your favourite cleaning hack?
What's cleaning?
Sinead, don't even get me started on this. So the Demon Gin is Sinead from The Poisoner's Cabinet. Just wanted to let you know. Great podcast. I would recommend that you listen to it. I fucking love cleaning. And every time I say that, my mum's like, oh, well, I wish you'd clean at home. But when I go home to my mum's house, I revert back to being like a teenage girl. So I just leave disaster in my wake. But when I'm here, I very much enjoy it. My favourite cleaning hack is a stain removal cleaning hack. You're supposed to be excited.
Ooh.
Thank you. That's better. I paused there because I was waiting for your input
Sorry.
and you were just staring at me blankly. So if you put a dishwasher tablet in your washing machine on a hot wash with some stained clothes, it should get rid of the stains from your clothes. But the dishwasher tablet cannot have any red in it. It has to be a blue and white dishwasher tablet.
Oh.
Check me out, fucking shit up. There you go. That's my cleaning hack for you.
Do you know what my favourite cleaning hack is?
What?
Disinfectant wipes.
Fine. Fine.
Can I have that?
Yep, by all means.
cool.
You can have that. Question 8 also comes from the Demon Gin. Top 3 Lush bath bombs.
Well, I feel like these questions are very themed towards one member of the podcast here.
Yeah, Bim. I will tell you, the next 2 questions are about you.
Okay.
Okay? So my number 1 Lush bath bomb at the moment is the aubergine one. I was going to make a really rude joke, but I decided not to. which is an eggplant for all you Americans listening. Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Eggplant and aubergine?
Yeah.
Is the aubergine one. My number 2 is the
Plague bag.
no, plague bag I think is number 3.
Okay.
Number 2 at the moment I think is the Temple in the Sky one, because it's like glorious. And then number 3 is the one that you end up with a plague bag, which is the lavender sleepy time one.
And it looks like those bags that they put over their noses during plague times with herbs in it, so they didn't smell the dead bodies and the rotting corpses.
Yeah, it does exactly what it looks like.
I mean, it's a great marketing tool.
Number 9. Will Dan ever do another episode where he reads the story? He sounded cool. And that came from @Solsa McKin 2018.
I probably will do one at some point. I feel like, as much as I really like reading and as much as I like doing the research and stuff, I feel like the reactions I get from Emma aren't quite as good as the reactions that Emma gets from me. Because Emma's just like, oh yeah, it's infrasound. And that's it. And that's the end of the conversation. So I had to really, the one that I did on the Black Shark, which I think is a Patreon episode.
Yeah, it is.
I had to really put a lot of work into how I wrote that story to keep Emma on her toes.
And I have to say, if ever there was a reason to become a Patreon, and we never do this, where I'm like, oh, if you become a Patreon, you can listen to this amazing episode. But that episode was really good.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I was shooketh.
I don't think the content was particularly good, but the way that I wrote it was enabled me to keep the skeptic believing for a little bit.
Yeah, I was impressed with that episode. And question... Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I'd like to do one, and I probably will do one, but they're never going to be as frequent as Emma because it's really hard to get Emma to believe anything.
True. Question 10. How often does Bim tell you that there are ghosts around? And that came from Alinta Rupp. Alan Tarup. Ali N. Tarup. I don't know.
She regularly... Well, her main things that she communicates, as you've heard this episode, is I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And give me attention.
Yeah.
I think she stays quiet on the ghosts because it works in her favour. Because if we're freaked out, we're giving attention to the ghosts. Whereas if we're not, we're normally giving attention to Bim. So I think she just keeps quiet on them, to be honest. Also, she spends a lot of time sleeping, so I don't know what she'd see.
Yeah, with her eyes closed. So that was our 10 questions this week. We'll see you next week for 10 more quarantine questions. Bye!
That's my line.